Nicole Holland here. You are listening to episode 28 of the Business Building Rockstars Show.
You're listening to the Business Building Rockstar Show, where your host, Nicole Holland, gets the lowdown from today's most talented, inspiring, and successful entrepreneurs on what it really takes to reach rockstar status.
Do you want to get your message out in a bigger way by being a guest on a web show or podcast just like this? If you do, text the letters I am ready to 33444, and I will send you free of charge a guide called How to Be a Great Guest. Don't make rookie mistakes that so many people do when they're starting out. Get known as a great guest that hosts search for free by texting I am ready to 33444. So to spell that out, it's the letters I am READY to 33444, and I will send you a complimentary copy of my guide, How to Be a Great Guest. On today's episode, I'm hanging out with Martin Shervington, and we're talking about how to take a strategic approach to build and grow your business. Martin is a master at building online relationships into meaningful networks, Google Plus, and Google tools in general, and he shares with me his insights on how to find and engage with influencers through social media. Thanks so much for listening. Let's get to the episode. Hey there, entrepreneur. Welcome to the Business Building Rockstars Show. I'm hanging out today with Martin Shervington. He's the founder of Plus Your Business, where they help build your brand, engage your community, and increase your conversions. He's best known for his authority in using Google for Business, as well as having a law and business degree and a postgraduate in organizational psychology. Martin, I'm so stoked to have you here today. And are you ready to rock?
I am. And I'm stoked that I hear a Canadian accent today. I've been around Americans all day long, so I'm over the moon.
And I get to hear a British accent, so fantastic. It's a very international day. So Martin, let us know what you're up to these days.
Okay, so just released a new podcast, which is Google for Business. So we look a lot at search, we look a lot at AdWords, analytics, and all those sorts of things. Got a new podcast coming out a little bit later in the year, which is the marketing equation. And I've interviewed people I've known for quite a while, everything from the guy that did the marketing for Oasis. You're pretty too young to know such things. But back in the, yeah, she's like, yes, I am. Back in the early 90s, big band Oasis. So he did all the marketing for that and getting different perspectives on how you communicate, really. So that's a lot what we do. And we work with different science clients and look at, exactly as you say, community brand conversions, because ultimately you've got to do business. You've got to get sales. So we're very googly, but we're also very much about the results side.
Fantastic. And what brought about this business for you?
That's a good question. Do you know what? So here's the backstory. You don't know what? I'll tell you the story. I arrived on Google Plus going back 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago, to promote a couple of books. I'd written a book about coaching, developmental coaching, and another one which is very personal development, life stuff. And I was like, yeah, this is going to be great. I'm going to do the social bit. And after 3 days, I was like, wow, this is amazing. They've produced something which I never imagined that social media could be as integrated. It connected with Google Search, it connected with Gmail, with Google Drive, with YouTube, with Hangouts, the video calls, and I was in. That was it. So I started to produce user guides. And I found after 3 days, people were engaging. I was like, oh, look, this is nice. And then after 10 days, I had something go viral, and I was like, this is not what I expected. So it began really what's been the last 4 years of educating people on Google products and services, but also very, as I say, very much about what you do with this stuff. And along the way, I learned a lot more about social search engine optimization. And I'm doing courses with lynda.com, which is LinkedIn for AdWords and for reviews and all this sort of stuff. So I do a lot of content educational work, but it came because I went to promote. And I promoted the books, and that was fine. But it was more to do with, I kind of fell in love. I'm a bit embarrassed to say it, but I did. I fell in love with the platform. I fell in love with the community. I fell in love with how vibrant that world was. Now, I think it's changed a bit, and I think it's very much mobile, and I think that's probably a good thing. And I think the platforms move on. I'm still very active on Google+. But I also think that we're now at a point that we know how to use social to build brand. We understand the mechanisms. So let's just make sure that we're on track with doing business.
Very cool. And when you talk about using social to build a brand, what's your favorite strategy for I know everything's so unique and individualized, but let's say a new coach starting out, they have their niche, they know where they want, they know who their client is, their ideal client avatar. What would you say is the best way for them to figure out where their social media presence should be?
Okay. I have a model, and I just always think of it in this terms. There's two aspects. The first one is allies. Go and find the people who have a social presence already and build relationships with them. They are not your customers, but they have a network of people that are following them that are a bit like you, that they can take you into and they can increase your reach. So you go, so if it's, let's look at 3 examples. On Google+, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, let's go for that. So on Google+, you put those people, your allies, on notify. So anytime they post, they notify and you go and engage with them. You start to build a connection, you start to comment, you start to build a relationship. Okay, on LinkedIn, you do the same thing, but you'll use tags probably to build a list and do it that way. And exactly the same principle, share their content, make it about them. And the third one, build a list on Twitter. And you can have it as a private list, or you may have a public list as well, but you go and retweet their content, you go and favorite it, you go and engage with them. Never trying to get anywhere. That's one of the main things. Then, with the allies, you interview them. You do a podcast, you do a HOA, you hang out on air, you do something that brings them into a place where you properly connect and you spend time, spend half an hour and an hour, and it changes everything. Right, so that's the allies. That starts to get you into the network that exists already online. Then, tribe are the people you serve. Those are the people, some of which will turn into customers and some of which will just spread the word. An important just, but they will spread the word. They'll be the evangelist for you and your brand. So you serve them content. You take those interviews that you've done with the allies, you put them into sections, you put them onto YouTube, you share them, you do your podcast. All of that stuff is for the people that are paying attention to you. So that's then the two sides of it. And that would be, I would say, a sound content marketing strategy. Get the transcripts done of those interviews as well, and you've got your content. And then you put your opinion pieces together around what you think and what you feel in the space. But you're pulling on an existing, well-tried and tested model, which is go and connect with the people that you want to be in the room with. Wow. There you go. That's it. It's not going to get any better than that. That's it.
It really isn't.
That's it. I mean, now finish
but really, like in what, 5 minutes, you just get.
That's all I've got.
Pardon?
That's all I've got. That's
what else do you need, though? I mean, that's it. Like that was. I don't think I've ever heard such a concise and clear, direct strategy. That's so true. It's perfect. It's so complex, but yet so simple.
It's doing the work, though, isn't it? This is the thing, which is that, and I think consistently could say the same thing on Facebook, and you could follow people, and then they move from followers into friends, and get connected with them. Go and meet people in conferences as well. And that's the other way, so just get real life. But you've got to do the work, and it won't take a week, and it won't take a month, and it won't take 6 months. It will take a year of effort. But if you've got a job alongside, that's what you do in the evenings. If you do it on the weekends, and that's cool as well. But it will take that long. And what I'd always look at is 30 to 50 is the starting point on blog posts. 100 written about a particular subject, distributed through social, you can be an authority. I say even at 50 good quality blog posts, you can be an authority. So, that's what's happened with Twitter and what's happened with Google+, and I would say, maybe potentially other social channels as well, is the signals that Google's getting indicate to search that this content is important to rise and be seen by other people. So in other words, if I'm engaging on content and I'm seen to be an authority, then that passes some authority across onto that piece of content to that person that published it. So the idea being that the more you produce that's high quality, the more shares it get by your allies, by your tribe, then it signals to Google its surfaces and search. And this is where I think that the fun starts, is those people who are outside of your social network. Those are the ones that are looking for something that aren't following you on Twitter. They don't necessarily know about you, so they visit your site. You have an opt-in or they lead generation process, so they contact you that way. So suddenly you've got this search, social, and site process which flows to generate your business. So you're not dependent on social. Social, it gives that lift. And I think that's really why Google Plus worked so well for me, was I learned that this is how it works. I had up to 36,000 people to my blog. And I've got now split probably about 25,000 between my site and my blog. And a lot of it is just residual traffic. So people come in from search. And if I want social, then I have to produce good content, because that's the thing with social. You have to make sure it's fresh and new. So the path is there for people. It's just doing the work. And the higher quality blog posts now, if you write that really seriously, most authoritative piece in the world, you can get to the top. You have to keep producing content, but you can get to the top because you deserve it. And there is definite sort of meritocracy to search.
That's fabulous. And do you think it's sort of like a pick your pony?
You think I know what that means, but
so would you suggest like focusing on 3, like LinkedIn, Twitter, and Google Plus, or would you say pick one, focus there? So write your content, make it top quality, put it out there, and then really develop those allies in that tribe on one social media platform before you start moving on to the next one? Or would you say a little bit, split your time?
I haven't answered this question for about a year. And I used to say, pick one and then pick a secondary one and go deep and build the relationships. Actually, I would say pick the people and find them on those other platforms now. I think that things move around, and if you're into social media, for instance, you want to, we know at the moment Facebook's in favor, but it doesn't, and Blab is getting a lot of attention. So you can see that, over there, but it's like, okay, well, they've got LinkedIn profiles. Can you break through the noise better and get attention by going to LinkedIn, where somebody may be getting 20, 30 comments and 100 likes, and you can't get through the noise because they're digital signals, and you've got to make it from digital into something that's more tangible. They've got to connect with you, you've got to understand. So I think the potential there to research and find the people across the platforms, and then almost pronged, I don't say approach, I was going to say attack, sounds awful, no, pronged approach to building the relationships. And it's a bit like you're in the office and you have a conversation, and then you see the person at the gym, and then you see them at the coffee shop, and then you see them at the park with the kids, and suddenly you've got a much more complex relationship that builds over time than if you just have it in the office. That's
fantastic. Do you have any opinions about Snapchat? It seems to be all the rage right now.
I could easily get pulled into it.
Not yet, though, eh?
Well, it's not yet, actually. So this is my thing. I think I love new stuff. So where have I been in the last week? Virtual reality. And I've been into virtual reality for the last 2.5 years, interviewing people, but I've been at the Games Developers Conference. I've been looking at the social side of VR and where all that's going. Facebook owns one of the main units and one of the main platforms, which is Oculus. Oculus login is very much Facebook. So I'm looking at what's happening there, because I would rather go into that space and be an authority in that space than try and catch up on something that people have been into for quite a while. So in a way, it's like maybe I'll pass by, maybe I'll be sad and crying into my coffee that I haven't started Snapchat. But I don't know whether you have to do everything. I don't know. So let's say that. What about you? Are you Snapchat?
I have not. And some of the people that I really respect tons are all about Snapchat. Yeah. And I think, okay, maybe I'll look at it and then I think, why? I just think I get so easily distracted, and I don't like to be distracted. Periscope, I had Zach Spuckler on the summit, and he talked about the value of Periscope and how it's so great. And I can understand that. Yeah. And I just don't have the energy or the time to do it. So yeah, I think I feel kind of the same about Snapchat. I'm interested about the VR. VR. But VR, right? Is that the...
Yeah, virtual reality.
Yeah, I saw your posts over the past week, and I was like, I should ask you about that. And then I'm like, it's kind of over my head.
I know, and it's really early. It's really, really early. So they're very much opinion pieces, and there's a lot more I'm going to put out, but there are social platforms forming. And that's the piece I want to say is the third platform, really, if mobile was the second, desktop the first, is virtual reality. So by understanding that, the companies here, we're talking huge businesses that are into it. It's not the individuals that... So I don't want to say thought leader. Shoot me for saying thought leader. But I'm just on the fringe of Silicon Valley doing this. So let's go to something else. Let's talk about Snapchat again and VR and all of these things. Is it going to build business? Is it going to bring me Is it going to bring me leads? And somebody could say, yes, Snapchat. Most of the time, the people around here are not going to be following me on Snapchat. So what I need to do is write content. So let's talk about VR. VR tips, startup. VR tips. Yeah, virtual reality startup
tips. Let's just say VR for anybody who...
VR, virtual reality.
Yeah.
There you go, virtual reality. So the idea being, if I can write pieces that then I get into search that are for those companies, or they go to my website, or you go to Plus Business, and they see the blog post that I'm talking about their businesses, they can connect with me. I can also remarket to them using AdWords. I can start to look at the demographic. I can advertise within the Silicon Valley area that I'm specifically delivering marketing services for virtual reality and augmented reality companies. This is then suddenly, you go, right, I now see what you're doing. They're not going to follow me on Snapchat. So that's the piece, is you don't have to do everything just because it's new. Go from a strategic point of view. Is this going to serve? Now, in the early days, brand building, if you can get the attention of Joel Comm or Chris Brogan or Mike Stelzner and all of those people that have a network, and you build a relationship and you like them and you connect with them and they like you, fantastic, you've got yourself an ally. So that's a good purpose, but it is that principle of the allies and the tribe, understanding what you're trying to do, because otherwise it's the balloon goes up and then the balloon comes down because you run out of steam.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So now social media is fairly new, and VR has been science fiction for a long time, and now it's new. What did you do before all of this? You were practicing law, is that right?
No, I did law. I got a law and business degree when I was 22. And I moved to Australia, and then I ran a training. Well, I wrote some books and did all that sort of stuff in my 20s. Then I did organizational psychology and ran a training company. So I had my first online training company in 99, which...
Wow.
Remember 99? That was a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So before broadband in the UK, and we were on a sort of 56K dial-up, and we were having lots of people providing French courses and maybe performance management and time management. We had a little thing going on. 99 that was. And yet today I'm still consulting businesses doing online learning, which is quite interesting. So so I did that. A lot of personal development, a lot of business was turning over best part of 2 million in sort of late 2000s. And I moved to the States about 6 years ago, on and off. If you're immigration, definitely more off than on. But I got a 10-year visa, so I was kind of like back and forth quite a lot. And I came over. This is entertaining for everybody that doesn't laugh. I did stand-up comedy as an amateur for a while, so I did, but it's a serious amateur, and I still do that now. Not that anyone laughs very often, but the VR stuff is great. Virtual reality stuff is great for comedy. So I use that because I can see that it's the cultural trends. It's a bit like talking about Facebook, maybe like 10, 11, 12 years, however many years ago, I can't remember. Do you know what I mean? But it's like back in the day. So you'd have a small number of people that go, I can relate. I know what you mean. That's what that space is like now. It's uber geeky. And when you've done it, you can connect on that sort of level. So that's one of the other reasons. Cool.
And what did you want to do way back before law school? Like back when you were a little wee lad?
Well, it's a little wee lad. You know, it's really sad that I'm about to tell you what it was. And I don't know how this happened. And I think I don't say bad parenting. I wanted to be an accountant.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. I don't think I did. I think I just had to come up with an answer quickly. And maybe because I'd been counting piles of money or something on a table. My dad was a businessman, and that's the sort of environment you grew up in. It's maybe something like that. It wasn't exciting. But then I learned windsurfing when I was 19 and became good at windsurfing. Not amazing, but good. And I became an instructor, moved to Australia after university and did that for a couple of years. So I was a water baby. And that was probably the most passionate I've been around, outdoorsy stuff. Like that. Mm.
And when did you get the entrepreneurial bug?
I was young, really. So I remember the first time I was trading wristwatches for sweets sort of thing, or wrist straps actually, for like age, I don't know, 6 or 7. And Dad there was always like, you look at what other people can't see, you do whatever, you find that thing. But then when I was sort of probably, I don't know, 16, I think I was buying and selling stuff like shirts and things like that to different people at school. Then, believe it or not, 18, I did betterware sales then for one summer. I was like door to door, and I never did the network marketing side of it. I just did the sales side, and I think people pitied my kind of pale complexion because I probably hadn't been outside because I wanted to be an accountant, so I sat at my desk working. But I did that for a summer or whatever, and lots of other jobs. But at university, I had a windsurfing school, and the moment when I got it, I was in the gym whilst I had another instructor delivering the courses for me at the local lake to a sports centre section of the university. And I was earning, I remember the money, I was earning £25 an hour, which is what, $33 an hour, let's say, in the gym. And I suddenly went, this is all right. I put in place a system here that actually works, and they're happy and they're accredited and so on. And I'm earning for doing something totally different. And that has always remained as a general principle. So now we have an agency. So the principle is very, very similar. Is how do you leverage time?
Very cool. So what would you say your biggest light bulb moment as an entrepreneur is, if there was one? You're so, like, you've got so many different things going on, and I'm not sure. Is there one thing that kind of went, I know I'm onto something, or was it that time at the gym there?
Do you know, we were talking beforehand, and I said it depends what day you get an entrepreneur on. If you were interviewing me on the weekend, I had my darkest hour, maybe at 5 o'clock on a Sunday, and I was like, oh, what am I doing? This is so hard. Because sometimes it is, and I think that anybody entering into it needs to know that. For me, there's aspects of things that I do that I love. And if I can do more of that, that's great. I like this. I enjoy chatting with people. I like interviewing people. So when I started on Google Plus and I was doing the Hangouts, it was like, wow, this connects you to everybody. And I think that that's the piece, which is it's taking what you've got in that moment and making the most of it. And for me, that's very often to do with people, to do with communication. And I like to teach. I like it when they laugh at my jokes. It's great. And so I got that style. But I also like being the educator. And I think that probably in my 20s, I found that role started to come a lot more. I was never going to be a lawyer. I did law and business joint, but I always enjoyed the study side of it. And I do. I'm really geeking with process documents. And I think that the whole lot put together, you find your passion, you know? And what social's done is give me the ability to connect with people that want to listen. And it's been a huge journey for me. And it continues. And the reason I say sometimes, you have your hard time is because sometimes it's not, what is it? It's not guaranteed. You have to keep working. You have to keep moving forward. It does move. It does change. You have to stay invested in the relationships. And that's why, in a way, going back to why haven't I jumped on Snapchat, it's like I've got enough going on all of the other channels at the minute, connecting with people, that I'm serving enough, So I don't know, it's continuous light bulbs. So one thing, this bit of advice, is to listen to people more. And that's something which I've been doing a lot more in the last 8 years, because we're only as good as our own blind spots. We're only as good as our own weakest link, whatever the phrase is. Do you know what I mean? And that's something which I was definitely blind many times in my career when I've gone, no, I believe. And then other people are, and you know what I mean? So listening to people you value is something. And maybe changing direction quicker. And if I say the word pivot another time this century, then people can quite happily ship you from afar. But sometimes you've got to pivot. Sometimes you've got to shift direction,
Absolutely. And I think that's so key, just being able to really pay attention to who your people are and listen to them and follow them. And I think, you mentioned allies and tribe. And I think sometimes as entrepreneurs starting out, especially, more emphasis is put on who allies or mentors are than who the tribe is. And I think when you're doing that and you're watching other people at what they're pivoting to and what's working for them, you're missing out, because when you focus more on who your people are, who your tribe are, and you listen what they want, then you're able to deliver that. Whereas if you get into this, I've done it, and I see it over and over and over and over with clients, where they had, okay, this is the program I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it, and this is how we're going to sell it, and this is how blah, 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 blah. And it's like, and who's buying it?
Yeah.
Well, they're going to once I do it. It's like, well, how about we just back it up and figure out what they want first, and then develop something based on what who your ideal people are. Let's figure out what they want before you tell them what they need.
So I put a survey out. I agree 100%. Put a survey out this year, 250 people. And I said, and it was a long survey, it's probably for up to 5 minutes, but it was the information I needed to make decisions. And what I got back was just gold. And I said, would you pay for this, 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 and this? And what do you want for free? And I always say it's a journey, but you're being shaped by the people that are with you. And if those are the people that are paying attention, you either adapt yourself and you listen and you shape the products and the services that you offer, or you move elsewhere. And it's like, if you don't listen and those ones paying attention and you keep pushing the same thing, then it just doesn't sell. It doesn't work. So, I mean, we've got the tools now. I mean, I did that with a Google survey, a Google form, which is straightforward.
Love Google Forms.
It's great. It's easy, and people are used to that as well, and they don't have to, and I didn't ask for names. So they didn't feel I was going to go and chase them to be sold to. It's like, I'll sell to you by putting this out onto my email list. I'm not going to be hammering you. So you can be honest and give me direct feedback. And that's the other thing. Sometimes you're going to find out stuff that you don't particularly like and you don't want to hear. But if that's the perception, then it's probably better to know if you're going into business, because it's like, that product ain't ever going to sell. Are you going to sell that $5,000 product? Yes or no. It depends on who's paying attention.
Great point. Yeah, and I'm sorry, forms. I just have to celebrate forums a little bit more, because I didn't realize how well, and they're getting more and more snazzy every day.
I know, they've made it all mobile friendly now, haven't they? So,
yeah, they're not as ugly. But before, even, you had to put a plug-in on your WordPress site or go get a third party. And it's like, Google Forms are just brilliant and beautiful, and you can customize them so much. And then they make that nice spreadsheet. So for any listeners who don't know Google Forms, if you want to do a survey, great solution.
And Google Drive. I mean, this is the thing. So I'm a bit all googly, but we've got so many tools that we can use to, let's look at Drive, Collaborate, or working with clients and getting their feedback straight. We can quicken the loops and to get things moving faster. And I think that was something that I found with Hangouts. We're not on a Hangout now, but we're on a video call, which has come after as a platform. It's allowed people to connect in another way. And I think that if people aren't using that tech, so, whether it be the interviews or whether it be working with clients or whether it be getting a little mentoring group together and having conversations, you don't get the input enough. You can learn so fast online. And I think that's one of the key points, is that it's good and bad as well. It means you can act quickly, but you've got to make sure you move in the right direction. So you need good people around you.
Definitely. Yeah. Even just mentioning it, we're on Zoom, and HOA, Google Hangouts on Air was just monumental when that came out. And now it's amazing how fast things are moving and how many new technologies are popping up. And I still love Google Hangouts or YouTube Live now for webinar. It depends on who my audience is. So when I'm doing one-on-one coaching or small group coaching, or I'm doing interviews, I like Zoom just because it's more private, and it's also HD, and it's just, for me, I find it more stable. But then if I'm going to broadcast more, then obviously I want to use something like Google or YouTube Live, to where I'm reaching a broader audience. So it's amazing how many different options we have these days to get the job done.
It is connecting us in new ways. Absolutely.
So, you mentioned a dark day recently, and
it could have been Saturday. It may have been Friday. I'm not sure. But I just remember on the weekend thinking, do I want to? Am I sure I want to? Yeah, you get that.
Yeah.
It was an hour. It didn't last a day.
For sure. But just the mention of that, I think, is so valuable, because I think there's this perception that once you reach a certain level, here's what I'm shooting for. And so once I get there, then all will be fine. But
it never is. Come on, it never is.
Every time you get there, you want the next. And that's human nature, right? So how do you deal with, what are some self-care strategies that you use to deal with those downtimes?
One of the things, so what had happened this weekend, I haven't been exercising enough. I've been a bit lazy. So that was the thing for me. I said, okay, I need to exercise more. That was the main piece, was I need to do yoga more and make sure I'm looking after my body. And I'm not bad, but I know that in order to do this next stint of work, I've got a lot of content creation to do. I want to be on absolute tip-top form. So that was it. And it's like, and also when I look at on Sunday, as a strategy, as an approach, let's say, I look at how much I've got to do the next week. And some of the jobs are admin, and the admin my assistant can't do. Like content creation, going into analytics, tying out with AdWords, doing things like this, and I'm writing guides. And I'm like, do I really want to do that this week? And yet I know once it's done, and it moves to the next stage. So it's something you've got to suck it up and do it sometimes. So I think that, okay, here's my little approach. I have a book in front of me, and this lives with me, if anybody knows it. So I go through one of these every 6 weeks. And on the right-hand side, I have a to-do list. On the left-hand side, I have state of play. I have all the projects that go on, and I get everything out of my mind. I either have something to do, or I have something going on. That's it. Everything else is driven by my Google Calendar, but it means that I don't worry. I don't go to bed and there's nothing to consider for the next day until I open the book up again and I've got the to-dos there. So sometimes I may find the to-dos are overwhelming because I've got so much that I've got to get done next week, but it all gets done. And I go through and I just tick stuff off.
Interesting strategy. I like that.
And I teach it. I show, and that's pretty much, that's the basic. I show people, look, get it out your head, because we spend all of this time on the computer. And here's the other thing. This is a defense against social media. All right? Because if it's on my to-do, does it have on my to-do, look at cat gif and hilarious panda sneak? It's panda sneak, a bit old school now, isn't it? But does it say, no, it doesn't. It doesn't say any of that. It says your job is to create an AdWords editor video today or whatever. Do you know? So that's the stuff that's going to move you forward. As long as you've chosen your to-dos well based on the state of play or the projects that you've got going on, you keep moving forward. And everything else is sent to prevent you from moving forward. I love virtuality. I can watch every video, every article. Is that actually going to help? Unless I'm looking in my to-do for an article about social communication within virtuality, where's it going to, if I want to write that piece, great, do the research. Otherwise, I am just indulging the learning process, and it's not necessarily going to build the business. It's unlikely to build the business.
So do you allocate certain amounts of time for that learning? Because obviously that you value that as well.
I curate content, so there is a brand building aspect. I mean, particularly on YouTube and Google, on Twitter and Google Plus. I'm sharing Facebook. They really don't care when I share anything that's too geeky on Facebook. Just followed me en masse. I don't mind, because it's a different social graphs, friends and from school and university, and then Whereas on Google Plus, for instance, I said, you're about to get this stream of geek out, and people are like, yeah, great, that's what we want. So I curate that, but I don't spend a huge amount of time curating, because I'll skim read and I'll get what I need, and I'll key out the piece of information, put it into a Google Doc, ready for an article, and then done. It's about efficiently getting to where you want to go, but you've got to know where you want to go.
Brilliant. Well, it has been, it's been time, and I could sit here and talk to you all evening, but I know you've got other things to do. So before we wrap up, I got a couple more questions, and then I'll have you tell us where to reach you. So what's your favorite, other than Google, no Google, what's your favorite online tool? Second favorite.
Tool? I can't use any of the Google ones. I'm just going down my list. No, I'm not. I'm going to go for... maybe, what's my favorite online tool? Let me have a look at my phone, okay? And I know you want to, so I tell you, it's totally different. It's a really nice tip for people. I like this tool for recordings. It's called AZ Screen Recorder, okay? So for doing tutorials on your phone, it's only about $3. It's really easy to use. That's one of my favorite finds in the last 6 months. And I've created lots of products. And anyone can just get it and use it. AZ Screen Recorder. There we go.
Interesting.
And actually, second one, because that was a little one. Slack.
Slack.
Yeah. You don't know Slack?
I don't know Slack.
Oh.
Unless...
That's it. It's going to change your world.
Yeah, I may have just heard about that earlier today. This is like my 5th interview. So
yeah.
I heard something where I was like, that sounds interesting. I got to look it up, and I don't know what it is.
We run communities in Slack. We coordinate teams. We have command centers where we have other things coming in. I don't want it to sound really complex. It's not. It's for running teams, but it's very flexible, integrates with lots of services. It's wonderful. Slack. There we go.
Yes. Okay. Yes. You are the second person today to say that. I will look that up, and I'll leave that in the show notes for everybody as well. And Martin, what about best book of all times?
I'm going to go best marketing book.
Okay.
Permission Marketing, Seth Godin.
Perfect.
That was the one that got me to understand, to reverse the intention. Make it about them, give them something that they value. And this is back 2001, 2002, 2001 probably. And it changed how I viewed marketing, having studied a lot about marketing. So yeah.
Brilliant. Where can people find you?
Plusyourbusiness.com. I'm on Google Plus. And it's PLUS, yourbusiness.com. And come and check us out. We've got lots going on. Get in touch, Martin at plusyourbusiness.com if you want to reach out.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time. Hey, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, make sure to subscribe on iTunes so that you don't miss another episode. And if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. Thanks so much for being here. And if you want to catch up on past episodes, it's super easy to do when you subscribe on iTunes. Also, we're on Stitcher, and of course, you can visit bbrshow.com for all of the episodes, show notes, and more. I would love to hear what you think about today's episode by leaving a review on iTunes, or also you can go to bbrshow.com, and on our show notes page there is a comment section. Dear listeners, I do this show for you, so the more you let me know what you love, the more I can bring you that. Don't forget that the Business Building Rockstar Show releases every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So 3 times per week, you can listen in to what the journey towards rockstar status entrepreneurship is really like. Until next time, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you, and I look forward to connecting again real soon.
And there you have it. If you enjoyed this episode of the Business Building Rockstars Show, be sure to subscribe on iTunes so you don't miss a thing. And visit bbrshow.com for all the show notes and links to resources discussed on today's show. Plus, lots more.